99 episodes ago, Gleaning Mustard Seeds began with a simple idea suggested by members of our family. In this special milestone episode, I'm joined by our daughter Christi and our grandson Braden, who first encouraged me to start the podcast. They reflect on how it began, the joy it's brought, and the impact these conversations are having on listeners. If you've ever wished you could sit in a rocking chair on a porch in the Smoky Mountains and listen to stories that make you think, grow, and smile, this episode invites you to pull up a chair.
Welcome to Gleaning Mustard Seeds with Jerrie Barber. Mr. Barber is a preacher, a ventriloquist, a barefoot runner, and writes 2 blogs. When Jerrie communicates, he encourages people, try not to learn very much. Find a mustard seed. In the next few minutes, try not to learn very much. Look for something you can do to move a mountain, remove a stumbling block, or provide a stepping stone for yourself or someone else. And now, here's Jerrie with this week's mustard seed.
I asked our daughter Christi Parsons and one of our grandsons, Braden Parsons, to make their comments on this milestone. They were the ones who originally suggested that I start a podcast. Christi is the narrator of Gail's audiobook, Fleecy Clouds. About every 5 months, a chapter from Fleecy Clouds will be featured on this podcast. Be listening to those. Braden did the cover art for the podcast. Here are Christi's reflections on this journey.
A couple of years ago, I was listening to some of Dad's sermons on YouTube that it seemed like it was a series from North Lexington Church of Christ. And I just thought it was really neat that anytime I wanted to hear a sermon from Dad, I could go to YouTube and listen to it or watch it. Around this same time, I was listening to more podcasts than I was music on the radio. I like to listen to podcasts when I would get ready in the morning or when I was driving my car. And so I thought, maybe Dad could put the two of these things together. I presented Dad with the idea of having a podcast. I told him, you have hundreds of sermons already recorded. Why don't you do a podcast, introduce a sermon, and just let the sermon go? He didn't take to the idea immediately, and it didn't surprise me a bit that he didn't. His calendar is always overflowing. He always has dozens of projects going on, all at the same time. But every few months or so, I would tell Dad, I really think you should do a podcast. I think that it would be very beneficial to a lot of people, and I think it would be a treasure for me and people that love you for years to come. A little bit after my mom's book, Fleecy Clouds, was published, Dad asked me if I would be willing to record her book for audio version. This is something I'd never done, but it was an honor to be asked. So, Dad did a ton of research like he always does before he starts anything new. Then he bought the equipment that I would need to record Mom's book. He started playing around with it before he gave it to me so he could help me with the ins and outs of everything. Then he discovered how easy it would be to actually do a podcast, and he did. And I'm so glad that he did. His first 100 episodes were exactly what I expected them to be. Compact, full of wisdom, and something really neat to learn every week. I look forward to every Monday to hearing what Dad has next, and I always learn something. For future podcasts, I would like to see Dad answer a question from a listener every once in a while. Dad has published many books, but 2 of his books are Volume 1 and Volume 2 of What Does the Bible Say? When we lived in Dalton, Georgia, he had a weekly article also called What Does the Bible Say?, where people could submit biblical questions and Dad would answer it for them. I think it would be really neat for people to get to ask Dad a question. I'm very proud of you, Dad. Congratulations on your first 100 episodes. I'm looking forward to the next 100 and then the next 100. And I'm going to quote you now. You are powerful. I love you, Dad. Congratulations.
And now, Braden's comments.
So Jerrie Barber, or as I like to call him, Granddaddy, is my favorite preacher, but also someone that I just love getting life advice from and getting wisdom from. one of my favorite things to do is on our vacations in the Smoky Mountains is to sit with him on the porch in the mornings in the rocking chair, watch the smoke come over the mountains, and just listen to his stories and the applications that he pulls from them. And I always get so much from that. And I figured a lot of other people would get something from that too. So a couple years ago, I suggested that he start a podcast. I love podcasts. I love listening to them. And I know a lot of other people would love listening to the same stories and wisdom that I get to hear in those rocking chairs. So I suggested it. Mom also suggested it. We were just trying to get him to do it because we knew how much other people could benefit from it, like we have. And we got denied. He was too busy at the time. We understood. He does a lot of stuff, does a lot of workshops, preaches, is always traveling. So we understood him turning us down, but we were also persistent because we knew how much the world could benefit from Jerrie Barber's wisdom. So we kept pushing, kept suggesting that he at least look into it, maybe give it a shot. And finally he gave in, and we're so happy he did. The joy that he had after starting the podcast was such a cool thing to see. He was getting a lot of great feedback, as we knew he would, because we knew what he had to offer. And I remember him telling me that he felt like a kid on Christmas, like he couldn't sleep sometimes, and he would wake up in the middle of the night and just have ideas for different podcast episodes or different ways to do things, and he would write them down. And to see that kind of joy, that childlike joy, come back to him through doing this was such a cool byproduct of what he had to offer. And so once he finally came around to the idea, it's been so cool to see how that's played out. Over his first 100 episodes, which is closing in on 2 years of podcast, it's been so cool to see the way people have received it. And I'm excited to see where this goes. But I love that it's diverse in content, because while he does have so much stuff to offer for the church and church leaders, you've also heard a lot of great episodes about money and about exercise. And there are just so many different things that Granddaddy has to offer. And I know there's a lot more where that came from. And so that's my suggestion for Granddaddy going forward is keep doing what you're doing. Keep helping people as you've helped me, and help us grow. And I'd love to just see more and more lessons on different aspects of life, like the money and like the exercise and relationships and conflict. I just want to see more and more of that because I know you have so much to offer, and I can't wait for 100 more episodes. I'm proud of you, Granddaddy. Can't wait to see where this podcast goes.
Thank you for walking with me through the first 100 mustard seeds. Now, let's keep planting, because you never know which small seed God will grow into the next great harvest.
Thank you for listening to Gleaning Mustard Seeds with Jerrie Barber. If you found a mustard seed, send a text or email with the link to a friend. This podcast was brought to you by Gail Barber's book, Fleecy Clouds, One Woman's Story of Surviving and Thriving After Childhood Abuse, by Gail Champion Barber and Alice Sullivan. Gail writes in the introduction to her book, I hope you find a blessing in this book that will add to your life and you can share with others. A difficult beginning didn't ruin the remainder of my life, and it doesn't need to ruin yours either. You can order your book from Amazon. There is a link in the show notes. Thank you for listening. Jerrie looks forward to next week as we continue to collect and plant mustard seeds.